Today's voiceover talent is more than just a pretty voice.
Pretty voice.
Today's voiceover talent has to be a boss.
A boss.
Join us each week for business owner strategies and success with your hosts Anne Ganguzza and Gabrielle Nistico, along with some of the strongest voices in our industry.
Rock your business.
Rock your business.
Rock your business.
Like a boss.
Like a boss.
Rock your business like a boss.
Rock your business like a boss. A VO boss.
A VO boss.
A VO boss.
Welcome, everybody, to the VO Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Anne Ganguzza, along with my amazing Bosstie bestie, VO Boss, Gabby Nistico. Hey, Gabby.
Hi, Anne.
Gabby,
I love the way you intro me. It makes me feel so good.
It's because I love you. I love
you too.
You know, Gabby, you always make fun of me, but I was late, a little bit late this morning because I had some auditions to finish.
Oh,
and
that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And it is. But you know what? It made me start to think. There's a lot of talk about auditioning. And like, I want to know, like, I audition for my agents. I audition for other jobs that come in, through my email. Gabby, sometimes it feels like I'm auditioning all day. And some people I've heard say, it's your job. Auditioning is your job. So I think we should talk about auditioning. And how much is too much, or how much do you do?
Gosh.
What are your thoughts on that?
To be fair, we have to look at like all the opinions or thoughts on this. And you're right. I've heard over the years a lot of people, some of them even agents, say, your job is auditioning. Basically, that's where our efforts should primarily be spent all day. The entrepreneur in me has a little bit of a problem with that.
Oh, yes, Gabby, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, the entrepreneur in me, the business owner, is like, that's basically working for free.
Yeah, when you talk about money, your money in and money out comparison, where does that stand? And I, look, I understand if I get auditions from my agents, and I think there's an extra step in there. Number one, because I want to think that my agent, of course, thinks I'm capable, and therefore the audition has been passed on to me. So there's a couple of people involved in that, and I feel like, I should honor that, and
yes.
Let's audition for that. And some of these auditions, Gabby, I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but there's pages. And, sometimes people expect that whole audition to take place, and that is not just a second of work. That is like, audition, process, edit, and we're talking sometimes people expect over a minute. Oh, my goodness.
The truth that you are speaking right now. I had an audition this morning.
Right?
It cracked me up. I look at the script. The script is huge, and I'm like, I think I read about a minute and a half, and I went, that's all you're getting. And I walked out of the booth.
And you'll see in the specs too, it'll say read both. Read all the way through both.
No.
And then, directions on one MP3 or two MP3s. No. I don't know. That to me just
it's being taken advantage of.
I believe
that.
I get a little bit like hair raised on the back of my neck, sort of.
As
like,
do I.
Really?
As do I. When we all know that statistically people listen for less than 15 seconds on average, right. the idea of requesting any audition over a minute in length and getting super specific about its delivery, it's abusive. I believe it is.
Oh,
I won't honor that unless it's like you said, if it's coming from an agent, if there's a very specific source, if they are asking for a special circumstance, okay, I'll do that.
Me too.
But not just any old rando that decides to send me a script.
If it comes from any other source. I mean, unless it's a direct email, right, that's asking me for, and I know the person and they're asking, like you said, it's a special circumstance. Right. But if it's just an audition that comes in, let's say maybe from a pay-to-play or, that kind of thing, or maybe even a referral and there's a page or two, I'm only given a few, like maybe 20, 30 seconds at most, if that. What I think will be able to grab the gig as much as I need to do. But other than that, no, I do feel that it's abusive.
Such a fascinating conversation. And I know we're going to piss some people off with this, and I'm all right with that. There are many coaches, many voice actors who, when it comes to pay to play, they talk about auditioning 20, 30, 40. I've heard upwards of
Yeah.
60 auditions a day.
Yeah, me too.
That's insane.
Personally, for me, Gabby, that's not my style. Hey, to each his own, but here's my thought on it. If I can have direct inquiries rather than me having to go and audition and spend that time auditioning, editing, submitting, and if I could have direct inquiries about jobs that say, I've got, a page of this, how much would you charge? Hell, I'm going for that method before I'm going to spend money, my own time in the booth, like half of my day, because I'm actually negotiating money rather than taking a chance on somebody even listening. So for me, it makes better business efficiency sense to accept direct inquiries and do whatever it takes to make my business searchable, right, and findable so that people can submit those types of jobs to me.
And it's why you and I stress the relationship piece so much, about building relationships and, production houses and casting directors and agents and even direct clients, because that's what it affords you. It cuts down on so much of those jobs that are maybes.
Right.
And significantly increases the booking ratio from your auditions.
Your stats are better.
Yeah.
Especially if you're good and efficient. Sure, if you can do 50 or 60 a day, that's fine. Go ahead. I
wouldn't be doing this. Seriously, I wouldn't do this for a living if I had to do 50 or 60 auditions a day. No, I'm out.
There's too many other things that I need to do for my business. And here's the thought. Again, it's not just... when your business is to that point, right, where you can outsource everything but what you're doing in the booth, right? I think that's great. Mm-hmm. But, in terms of until you get to that place, right, I need to make my time as efficient as possible. Mm-hmm. And being in my booth auditioning all day is not necessarily the best use of my time in terms of growing my business and growing my relationships with clients so that I can get more business, or growing my web presence, growing my marketing presence, so that I can have more opportunities at my fingertips or at my voice, so to speak.
At your microphone, yeah.
Yeah, at my microphone. There you go.
What about the stress factor? Every time I talk to people who are like slaves to their pay-to-play and the auditions that are coming in, they are so stressed out and they're so they're wound so tight by that process that I'm like, man, that's not going to make for some good auditions.
But here's the deal. I think that the process of working yourself to a place, and here's where I'm going to give some props maybe to that style, is that if you are doing a ton of auditions a day and you get really good at it, there's certain skills that helps to develop. It'll help you to develop your ear quicker, and of course your editing skills will probably get pretty darn quick. If that's how you want to do that. But again, to get to that space and get to that place, I think it takes a long time. And for me, again, it's not necessarily my choice of how to do that. And it's not to say that I don't audition. That's not it at all. I just am very particular. I have like a level. Auditions from my agents are first. Always.
Priority levels, yeah.
Priority levels. It stems from that. And then other than that, I have certain things that I need to do during the day to keep my business running smoothly and efficiently. And it's not to say I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to audition, but I'm auditioning late at night sometimes. So
I have designated times.
Yeah.
In my workday.
Of auditioning?
Built in, yep.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
What's your schedule like?
So it's first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. For anything that came in overnight. Yes, so I might have anywhere from like 3 to 8, depending on the day, but it's all at once. I get in the studio, I hit record, and it's boom, 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 all in a row, and then chopping them up in post-production. That's morning, and usually it takes me anywhere from 15 minutes to 45. Immediately after that, I move on to any jobs that I have to do that are paid gigs that are self-directed, and I do it again after like 4 o'clock.
So let me just calculate this out. So 8 auditions, right? You said anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes,
yes.
Correct? So that's 2 to 6 minutes per audition. So
Correct.
I think that's fantastic. And I know that people who say they do multiple, like 10, 20, 30, 40, they've got the efficiency, they've got their process down so that they're efficient. I think, how long did it take you to get that efficient at auditioning? That's a question. Because I think, well, right? That's a time, and I think there's where you grow your skills. So I say, if you're going to audition so that you're growing your skills to develop a better ear, to be better at auditioning, to get quicker at editing, sure, I think that's great because it's all a learning process. But I don't know if that's a business practice that after I got efficient, I would necessarily maintain or keep. In terms of running my business, because I'm hoping that the time that you're not auditioning, you're spending time on your business so that you can get direct inquiries that are asking you for quotes on, what it would take to complete a job for a client. Sure. And I think that is a good plan or a good strategy.
Yeah, but I think that question of how long does it take to get there? I mean, so once again, yes, the 10,000 hour rule, my God, exactly. Is that real?
And some days it doesn't apply because I'm my own worst critic, right?
Yeah.
So
production and audio editing, it's so detail oriented and it's such a precise process that it does take people a really long time. I mean, I've been editing for 22 years now. Oh my God. That is a lot of time invested. And please bear in mind, I began editing with tape and razor blades.
Yeah.
Pre-digital, analog.
I'm the first to give Gabby props because you are the editor that I am not. I mean, you do. I mean, as a matter of fact, the VO Boss podcast, Gabby takes care of all the editing, and she's amazing at it. And so I gladly give that to you because I am just not at that level. To be honest with you, I don't desire to be at that level. But I'm at the level where I can submit auditions. But
but there it is. It's a desire thing. But you're right. I mean, in my case, it's cumulative years and years and years of doing it. But as a result, I can get my auditions out really quickly. But sometimes I also meet people. A student earlier this week I had a conversation with. He was spending so much time on his post-production and preparing an audition. And I'm like, no. Clean out the door. Clean out the door. You cannot nitpick and stress and process and tweak and treat that audio like it's a final job. There's no time for that.
I think that there's so there are some people that will say, get your audio as nice as possible, right, as clean as possible in your audition because people are judging you on that. So what are your thoughts about that?
I agree with that, but I think that again there's a difference between clean and presentable. And what some folks are trying to do. Okay, so here's the way I look at this. I'm gonna, as a girl, this is the best analogy I have. I've got on a little bit of makeup, right, and I look decent. Okay, versus I have a full face for evening with smoky eye and like crazy lipstick and I've spent all this time.
Day versus night.
Yes.
Day makeup versus night.
I still look good. I'm not like the creature from the Black Lagoon right now, but I see people do that with their audio all the time. They bypass just clean and easy in favor of a lot of bells, whistles, tricks, excess removal, excess processing. Yeah, I'm like, stop all that nonsense. It's just a waste of time. The thing that I really want everybody to remember is when it comes to these auditions, at the end of the day, you're applying to be the voice actor. You are not applying for a post-production job.
True.
So, stop doing it.
Solid advice right there. Yeah, solid advice.
Are auditions necessary? Yes, of course. Of course they are. But
are they part of our job, Gabby?
They are. They're part of it. They're not all of it, though.
Yeah.
And I think the ideal for any working professional in this industry is to get to the place where you audition less but book more.
Exactly. Audition less and book more. And how do we get to that spot, Gabby?
Relationships. It's relationship building. A lot of it. A lot of it's relationship building, and it's your proficiency as a voice actor. So the client knows, I can just book you. I don't need to audition you. I just know I can hire Anne, and she's got this.
And I'm going to go one step further and say, again, it has to do with your business presence and our storefront, right? So, you know, get that storefront. So many people that think about their website and their email and their client communication, you know, as the very last thing. In reality, I think you guys need to kind of shift those priorities so that your forward-facing presence toward your potential client is professional, trustworthy, just something that people want to purchase. And you know, lately, this time of year when everything's on sale, I have been shopping a lot. So I have been looking online at different storefronts. And you, as a voice artist, you're a storefront. And don't cast aside the website thinking that's the last thing you need to do. It really needs to have more consideration.
Yeah, you and I book all the time directly from clients who don't know us yet, who haven't developed a personal trust, and they find us, and just based on what they see and read, they hire us.
Exactly. And that goes not just with the website, but for, you know, great content that's on your website that includes, like, you know, text written content about you, who you are, what you do, what does your business do, as well as some really solid demos that speak to your audience. I think that's important too. Demos can go, you know, that whole idea of when people used to book off their demos, I still book off my demos. And so I don't think that is a lost art anymore. I think that I have some demos that really speak to my audience, and I book off of them. And hell, I'd much rather do that than have to audition.
Amen. Tell us what you guys think. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your opinion about this. Where do you guys stand on this debate? Is auditioning our job, or is it just a portion? You tell us.
And how much? How much do you audition every day? We'd like to know.
Email us. Message us.
We'd love to hear what you guys have to think. I'd like to give a great big shout out to our amazing sponsor, IPDTL. You too can connect up with your clients like a boss. Find out more at ipdtl.com.
And for all things boss, check out the socials, our website, voboss.com. Get into the merch store, get yourself a t-shirt, show some boss pride. You know you want to. Join the collective. And, of course, you can find the podcast everywhere that you can find podcasts. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, you name it.
Google.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Join us next week for another edition of VO Boss with your hosts, Anne Ganguzza and Gabby Nistico. All rights reserved. Anne Ganguzza voice talent in association with 3 Moon Media. Redistribution with permission. Coast-to-coast connectivity via IPDTL.
All right, I'm starting my recording. I'm changing over my audio.
You a sexy bitch. I've been in the goofiest mood all day.
Let me grab my coffee.
Okay.
I've literally had one sip.
Oh, I'm on like cup number 7, so...
Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Take 1 is straight, and take 2 has an unacknowledged wink. Who writes this? Not just a wink.
Unacknowledged, yeah.
Unacknowledged. I saw you winking at me, but I did not acknowledge you.
Did not acknowledge you. People just need to get laid. That's my... truth. People in advertising just don't get laid enough. I think that's... And this is the result.
You know
the
that's
unacknowledged
going into
wink.
an outtake. Holy crow. Holy crow. It's all that training. 20 years, Gabby. 20 years working in a high school. 20 years of trying not to, like, swear and say, oh, shoot. Oh, shoot.
I love when we have like a bunch of people and we're together and like you're like, okay, people, all right, this is what we're doing. Like
clapping. Come on. All right.
Immediately.
Attention
yeah,
at the front, please. Attention at the front.
Love
I'm
watching
waiting.
you do that.
I'm
it's
waiting.
Like a total personality shift.
I'm waiting. And Gabby, you should be like, shut the up. Anyway.
Okay.